Morning class. Morning. Today we're going to do an exercise in perception. Now tell me, what do you see here?
That's a rabbit. That's a rabbit.
Relax. No. Okay, who sees a duck? All right, and who sees a rabbit? Okay, that's not a duck, and it's not a rabbit. It's ink on paper. Now we see what we want to see. We believe what we want to believe. We're all great storytellers. And we take what we want to understand and we put that into our story. But when we do that, we limit ourselves to only what we want to believe and understand. So let's take a step back and take in what's around us. When we create a space of understanding, we see that there's so much more than meets the eye.
Well, good morning. If you think anything like me, that video gives you a reminder that we all can see the same thing from different angles and different viewpoints and have such different understandings of what we're seeing. Over the last 7 to 8 weeks, we've all been through a different norm that has been prompted upon us. And we've all dealt with these different norms in different ways. We've all encountered individuals from different walks in our lives. There are some who are on the front line who bury the concern. They bear the concern for what this pandemic has done to the medical system in different areas, what it could do to our current areas if it overwhelms the medical system. We have those who have been laid off or furloughed and are wondering how long can they survive and take care of their own homes if things stay this way any longer. You have small business owners who have been forced to close their doors because of this pandemic, and the question they have is, can my business survive if it stays closed any longer? You have those who are very entrenched in the political arena, and everything that happens, we put a political spin on it, and we're concerned about how it's going to impact our political arena. You have those who define everything based on conspiracies, and they trying to identify how did this all start. You have those who are at home who refuse to even go outside and take a walk because of their fears of if they come across something. And all of these different views are valid depending on which lens you look at them from. But what if I told you it's not the focus or the lens in which God would have us to view it from? I find myself looking at scripture in Philippians 4:11 through 13, where Paul is speaking to the Philippians who had in the past been able to send him resources that he needed, and now they find themselves at a moment where they're unable to provide him those resources. Paul's response to them is a great example for us all. And it reads, I read it for you, it's Philippians 4:11 through 13, and it reads, not that I am speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. In verse 13, there is where we find that if we can understand how and what strings we are to do things through, and the lens we are to focus through to gain understanding, is then when we are able to learn how to be content. When we see things through the lens of God, he shifts our focus, which shifts our perspective. And perspective is the doorway in which we view things through, which we view our life through, which we view our circumstances through. When we're able to understand and grasp the concept of asking God to help us to see our current circumstances through his eyes, it shifts our perspective. Then it shifts our contentment. Contentment is not an automatic thing. It's not something that can be automatically dropped upon us. It's more of a spiritual bearing that we must have to practice in the times where circumstances are not so good. Even when they're good, we have to learn how to be content. And we practice those things of being content through seeing our current circumstances through the lens of God versus an external viewing through the world's eyes. So here's my encouragement to us all this morning, is that we would take a few moments to step away from the jobs that we face on a daily basis, step away from concern about the jobs that we don't have to go to at this time, step away from the concerns of what's happening in the medical field, step away from the concerns of what's happening in the political arena, step away from all conspiracy literature for a moment, and ask God to adjust the lens in which you see things through. Ask God, how would he have you to approach this situation by seeing it through his eyes? Ask God, who gives us strength, who gives us focus, who shapes our future, who shapes our perspective, to point out areas in your life, in your business, in your work life, in which during this time, he would have you to improve upon. He would have you to reshape your focus on. He would have you to reapproach life in. He would have you to adjust what used to be the norm to the norm in which he wants to take you to. I continue to pray that blessings upon you and your families. I continue to pray that God's favor will fall upon you. You pray for me and I'll pray for you, and we'll pray that we're all able to individually and collectively work through our current circumstances through the lens of God. Have a blessed day.